All right, hello everyone. This is EDLE 6110 for the summer of 2018, and this video is being recorded for week 4. And in week 4, one of the things that we do is to upload our Microsoft Excel database into SPSS and then do some of the same calculations that we were doing in Excel, but we'll look at how they would work in SPSS, and then we'll show you as many of the functions as I can think of in SPSS before you get ready to do your own exercise. So one of the things I did before I started to make this a little easier is to open IBM SPSS because it takes a little while to open. So once you get open, I have version 24, and so once you get it open, it's going to ask you if you want to open a database. And so I'm going to open, in my case, if you saved I would download the spreadsheet. I've reattached it to your Canvas page. I would download the Excel file to your desktop again so that you have a clean copy. There was only one page. It'll have the basic, it'll have the page 1 of the data set. And so if you go to open another file and double click, and it's going to make me search for it. So I'm going to go up here to desktop. Apparently I need to go to this PC desktop, and I can't find it. So the reason I can't find it is because I don't have the file type up. So I'm looking for an Excel spreadsheet. So once you get the right file type here, then you can click on your Excel spreadsheet. This one. And click open. And then it's going to ask you what worksheets you want to use. And so we're going to use sheet 1. And we're not going to worry about the others. And then we're also going to say OK. And if you'll look at what happens, here we are. The file easily and automatically transfers over to SPSS. I'll move my little file thing up here. So I don't know if you can see that, but just getting a GoToMeeting thing out of the way. So we have this, and here's our file. I'm going to make this larger now so we can see the whole file. And if you look again, here they are. They're in numerical order. And interestingly enough, in SPSS, the variables, the names of the variables are at the top. And over here to the side, you'll see that the student numbers now correspond to the row number in SPSS. And one of the things that you have in SPSS is you have this thing down here in the bottom left-hand corner. You have a data view, which is what we're looking at now, and you have a variable view. And the variable view tells you what the variables are. Here's student, gender, ethnicity, free and reduced, lunch, math, language, science, writing. Here's the grade level and the GPA. So it tells you that all of these are numeric, and they are numeric, but they're not entirely numeric. So we're going to make a few changes, but if you look over here, they have the width. I don't know why we don't have any decimal places. We can take everything out to 2 decimal places. Huh. And then values, missing, columns, alignment. The student number is actually not a scale, it's just nominal. The only things that are scales are their scores and their GPA. So the others are just nominal. And so we have that, and we can go back to our data view. And now we have, if you look and see, now we have decimal places on everything. So, and you can change that around it like you want. Go to variable view. If you don't want the student numbers to have decimal places, take those off. And gender probably doesn't need a decimal place. Ethnicity doesn't need a decimal place. Free and reduced lunch doesn't need a decimal place. And grade level probably doesn't need a decimal place. There we go. So we can make changes like that. So now we have our variable view and we have our data view. And so there's a lot of things that we can do, but SPSS is very different. And so one of the things you can do in SPSS is you can do it all at once in a lot of ways. So you go to Analyze, just so that we can take a quick look at everything. Look at descriptive statistics. Go to, you can do frequencies or descriptives, but we'll do descriptives. And it wants to know, well, what variables do you want descriptives for? And so one of the things that we can do is, well, let's just get descriptives for everything. Just so we want to, because we just want to know what it looks like. And we want the variance and the range, the mean. We're not interested in kurtosis and skewness right now. We'll get a variable list, and we'll continue. And we don't need to make changes to these other. And we're not going to change the standardized values to variables. We're not doing that right now. So it just gives you the descriptives. So press the OK button, and it creates a little table for you. And so look right here. We have 100 students. Range is 99. So it goes 1 to 100. Mean is 50.5. Standard deviation is 29. Variance, but all of this is meaningless because we're just counting students. Now, gender tells you, goes from 1 to 2, ethnicity 1 to 3, so it's just telling you what we already know. Math, though, if we look at the entire school, that's all we're really looking at. So math, we have the math scores for the entire school, ranged from 221 to 263. The language scores range from 221 to 259. The science scores 220 to 276, and the writing scores 175 to 234. And it gives you a mean of all the grade levels, gives you a standard deviation, and you can see that there's a lot more variance in the writing score than in the others. And then it gives you their GPAs and tells you, which is good, a GPA of 2.5 to 3.4. And so that's a lot of good information. That's for the entire school. But remember, we were wanting to look at it by grade. So one of the things we can do is go over here to data, and we're going to go down here toward the bottom, and you see the one that says split file. So we'll split the file, and the file that we're going to split is grade. Oh, we have to compare groups, and we're going to split the file by grade. And this just is going to help you. It will just give you the information in slightly different ways, either as individual files or as groups of files. And so right now, let's just look at the one that says compare groups. Now we're going to click OK. And we're going to go back to Analyze, Descriptives. We're going to leave everything exactly the same so you can see the difference, and we'll do that. Now, SPSS has automatically sorted the students in our file by grade and provided you with then all of the same information by each grade level. And so, very good. And so now we have all of your descriptive information as one. Now, I don't know. I haven't tried this in a while, so I think that it perhaps gets a little complex, but let's see. If we go to split file, and if we also add gender, then I think we can sort by grade and gender, but let's check it out. And so we'll say OK, and then we'll go back to Analyze, and click on Descriptives, say OK, and now you have 9th grade sorted by grade and gender. And it gives you the descriptive statistics for each grade level. And you can go and look. And then if you go back to data and look at split file, and this time let's change it. Let's take gender out and put in ethnicity. And so now we've split the file that way. Analyze, descriptives, and say OK. And now look, we've split the file by grade and ethnicity. So it gives you 1, 2, 3, and it's dividing them up. And so you can see the entire 9th grade, and then you can compare the different ethnicities and see if there is any variation. High score, low score, variance. It's very important. How close together the scores are, how spread apart they are. And you can look at 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and you can look at each of the scores. Now you can also, let's go back to split file, and let's take out ethnicity and look at free and reduced lunch, and say OK. Go back to Analyze, and go to Descriptives, and do the same thing. So now we've sorted. Was there any difference in free and reduced lunch? Did I not add it? Let's take a look. See what I did. Oh, I didn't add it. So go back and add free and reduced lunch. Click OK. Run it again. And again. Now you can see the difference between it by grade level, and then you can see the difference in their scores by free and reduced lunch and by not free and reduced lunch. So yeah, remember it says yes and no. So provides us a lot of information, and in a format that's actually a little bit easier to work with. Gives us the entire file. So using SPSS, we've just been working with descriptives, but gives us all of that. And go back and look at each one of these. And here's our descriptive table. So start with the whole data set, and then we began looking at the individual pieces of the data set by just splitting the file and then running the data again. So the difference in the one that says organize output by groups, it just gives you individual tables. And so in these cases where it's giving you the 9th grade and then 1 and 2, and they're together, and this is together. In the other organization, we'll look at it. It will give you, the files will be separated. So let's run it again just so that you can see the difference. Descriptives and OK. And so now you have, as it shows you, grade 9, free and reduced, yes, and grade 9, free and reduced, no. And so it shows you, oh, there you go. Grade 10, free and reduced 1, grade 10, free and reduced 2. So, gives you a mean, standard deviation, variance of the students, and gives you the differences in their scores, the range of their scores, the variation of their scores of your free and reduced lunch or economically disadvantaged population between the yeses and the nos in each grade level. But it identifies them in a separate table. So the other way, the tables are all grouped together in one table, like this. So you can see here's grade 12, here's grade 11, here's grade 10. So so it depends on how you want to, look at your data, and then you get a little bit of a variation in the way that you can look at your data. We'll do this again in just a minute, but one of the things you can do is you can always copy your tables. You can copy special, and then it asks you some questions about how you want to copy it. So you can say OK. And then if you want to open Word, so then you can, let me just put Word over here. And if I wanted to paste the table just like it was, I can paste it into Word. And so now I can add it into my document, and then I can describe it, and I have the table already there. If I'm doing something with APA, I can play with the table a little bit and following the instructions and what they want the table to look like at APA, I can change the table. So I can highlight the table. One of the things APA likes is first of all, take out the borders. Then we can highlight this row and give it highlight that row, give it a bottom. Highlight that row, give it a top, and give it a bottom. There we go. And highlight this row, GPA, and give it a bottom, and there you go. So you can make your table look how you're wanting. So we don't need this row right here. So you can delete it and delete the row. So this A is telling you, it's just describing this, but you could put your descriptive up here if you wanted, says descriptive statistics, and this would be grade equals 9, free and reduce equals 1, and this is what we're looking at right here. So you can look at that, you can create a title for your table, and now you have an APA table. So very nice. Move that back out of the way and go back to SPSS. So there's a lot of different ways that we can analyze our data. I'm going to unsplit our data. Give you plenty of time to play with this. So once that's done, move this back to Analyze All Cases. Do not create groups. Click OK. So now we've moved our file back to our entire data set. If we want to look at other things, of course, you can run frequencies. Let me run a frequency table for you. We want frequencies of, all of these are just going to tell you 1 through 100. That will just be 1 and 2. That'll be 1, 2, and 3. That'll be 1 and 2. So the only real thing that you have frequencies for are your actual scale scores for your testing, if you wanted to know that. So let's run a frequency for math. It asks you if you want. We can get a mean, a median, and a mode. We can get a standard deviation and variance and range. So continue and say, we can even make a little chart. Let's do that, so just so you know. You can do it. Click a little chart. I don't think we change. No, we don't change anything in formatting. And style or bootstrap, no. Say OK. So here's your frequency table for your math scores, and we just used the whole data set. Here's a frequency table for your math scores, and then here's a little bar graph that shows you where your math scores are. So you have some outliers down here. The majority of your frequencies, the majority of your scores are here in 247, and you can see how they go up and how they're distributed. So here's 221, and tells you there's 1. 247 has 31, and your upper scores have 7 each. So your other most frequent score is 239. So you can look at your data that way. And so it starts giving you a lot. Now if we still wanted to sort it by grade, again, go up here, data, split file, let's sort by grade, compare groups, organize by output by groups, because we want to see the graph separately. Let's do that. Then let's go over here to analyze frequencies. This time we're just going to still do our math. The only thing we've done differently this time is we've divided it by grade level. So should give us a chart for grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. Now, as you can see, this is decidedly different from Excel. It gives you your information in a different format, in a point-and-click format. It creates the graphs for you, and although you can do your analysis in Excel, doing your analysis in Excel is much slower and more tedious, and you have to do each function individually, whereas in SPSS, you can do the functions much more quickly, and you get a lot of different information. So we're going to leave the data set split by the grade level. We're going to go back to Analyze, and let's see, what different things we can do. And today we're not looking at all of that. We're looking at descriptives, but we're going to come to this in week 5. And in week 5, we'll look at correlations, and we'll look at how to compare scores and why we would want to do that. So I think that in the assignment that I have for you, you'll be able to do some of the same things that I did. You'll be able to take the data set, look at all the different places in the data set, and if you'll notice, one of the things that SPSS does is that it creates this page, this file that's called output. And your output document just holds all that information for you. And on the left over here, what this is it's just a running description of whatever functions you did. So if you wanted to, these are the code, and if you wanted to copy any one of these or go back to one of these, it will take you to that particular thing in the database. So when we performed that function, we went there, so you can search over here and see, well, there's our frequency. So if we wanted to find out the grade 11 frequency, then here it is right here. So you can go right to it and use it as an index for your output. You're also going to save your output separately. And so what I'm going to ask you to do when you do your assignment is to, you can send me your output, as well as I'm going to have you take one of these graphs, copy it into Word, and send me a Word document with a table and a graph. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think it can give you a heads up on way to do that. And then in week 5, we'll start doing some more of analysis with our files. So I appreciate your attention today. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.